Maybe I can start by asking His Excellency a question. From which religious faction do these prisoners come, Your Excellency?
Apart from the first pictures about I couldn't tolerate the hours that I spent in such prisons. I cried when I discovered this tragedy for my people. For the old prisoners, majority of them are from the Arab Sunni, but the youngsters, I discovered majority of them from the Shia. The young. Majority of them are from the Shia, from Sadr city. Some of the boys, they spend 7-9 months with no knowledge to their mothers and fathers. I ask one question. There are about 70 to 100 in that cell, because each one told me a different story about the torture. But indirectly I understood that all of them being raped. Then I asked, who not being tortured? No one. Who is not being raped? No one. All being tortured or being raped. How can you tolerate that? And I am a vice president. When I went there, in my capacity, I report back to al-Malik, telling him, and I'd made about that with me, you know. And he's from the National Alliance, he's the Shia. And both of them, we really shocked about what we discovered. Then I wrote honestly to the Prime Minister, please change your course. My country drifting in a disaster situation, into a catastrophe. What sort of generation we are generating for those youngsters? They should be on the class, sitting in the schools. We should take care about them as a government. You are penalizing them for what? A car bomb is exploded, then the police is surrounding the same area and arresting all the people inside. Women, youngsters, men, put them in jail and forget about them. You just believe one of the boys, he spent 7 years. 7 years without nobody asked him, because there is no arrest warrant. 7 years a boy in a prison. This is the situation in my country.
Before I bring you back in, we also have with us the former senior officer from UNAMI in Baghdad, Tahar Bamedra. I think it would be useful. We have very little time left, so a couple of minutes, if possible, Tahar, just to emphasize some of the issues we've been talking about and emphasize some of the issues we've just seen in that short film. Tahar Bamedra. Do we have a microphone? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you just heard from Vice President Dr. al-Hashemi is a drop of water in an ocean of violations of human rights in Iraq. I was the person in charge of monitoring the situation of human rights in Iraq since February 2009. And I witnessed a lot. And I just want very briefly to give you another example of such violations that I personally monitored and reported. There was 2 women arrested in the ministry, in the building of the Ministry of Interior. That's a story, goes back to 2010. These people, these 2 women, were raped next door to the office of the Minister of Interior. They were raped. One of them had her eyes poked of her head. I reported the incident to the Commission of Human Rights of the Iraqi Parliament. The late chair of this commission did undertake an investigation upon my request, and he reported next day to the Parliament. It was a Thursday. He requested to interrogate, to put questions to the Minister of Interior. Next day, Friday, after the prayers of Friday, while he was going out of the mosque, he was assassinated. This is the situation, how it stands. And I don't think I have time to give you lots of examples of such atrocities. But I could tell you that, again, on my request, the Ministry of Human Rights undertook an investigation of a secret prison in Al-Mosul. I asked them, indicated to them where this secret prison is, and they went. They were refused access to this place. They forced the doors to the premises, and they found in 2 rooms 70 people who haven't seen the light for the last 3 years, for 3 years. And that was not the story. The story is that 600 of them were underground. For 5 years, they haven't seen the light. And it was courageous, even from the Ministry of Human Rights, to report that they did, in fact, force the doors and discovered those 70 people that were reported in the Ministry of Human Rights. But I know more than that. And unfortunately, we were not allowed, as UNAMI, to report such atrocities. We were asked to report positively. I thank you, Mr. President.
I came all the way to deliver a short message that my country in a disastrous situation. I do face an internal challenge that is well exceeding my capacity. I need your help. This is my message to the European Union, to the free world, to the Western communities, to take care about my country. I know even the media, they are not shedding enough lights on what's going on in my country. They are concentrating on numbers of casualties, daily casualties, the death tolls. Nobody talk about, okay, this country is apparently dragging, and the possibilities of civil wars are already there. What we should do, what sort of obligation we do have as European Union? I said, you are just part of the story. Your troops are joined United States troops and invaded my country in 2003 on the assumption that you are intentionally willing to build a real and modern state, rule of law, democratic state, respecting women and human rights. I am now asking you to fulfill your obligations. My message to the European Union, please, more attention to be given to the Iraqi situation and try to help us. There is a mistrust between the politicians, between the political entities. Our mission internally is difficult. Therefore, I need more engagement from European Union in my tragedy, in my problem. I'm still hoping that European Union, for different reasons, do have an interest to deepen their engagement. We are not only a country who exports energy to the world. We used to be 5,000 years ago the cradle of civilization. We indebted all the nation from Los Angeles back to Tokyo. All the nations indebted of my country. We used to be the cradle of civilization. We ask you now, time comes to pay just part of the cost. And this is why Tareq al-Hashemi today in Brussels.
Ladies and gentlemen, when George W. Bush announced mission accomplished, and when Barack Obama said that the departure of American troops had left behind a functioning democracy in Iraq, I think now we have heard the truth. Now we have heard the reality. And now we have to pick up the tab. We have to pay the price. We have a moral responsibility. It's the people of Iraq who are suffering. I have been told, in best possible information, that up to $800 million is going out of Iraq every week. Where is it going? This is oil revenue that the people of Iraq, it's their oil, it's their wealth, it's their future. This should be spent on infrastructure, on education for the children. This wealth is going into Swiss bank accounts and offshore bank accounts for a corrupt, venal government that is running a tragic, catastrophic situation with secret prisons, with oppression, with torture, with more executions now than any other country in the world apart from China and neighbouring Iran. This is not the future that we spent our lives and our economic wealth to bring to the people of Iraq. This is an outrage, and I'm so grateful to His Excellency Dr. al-Hashemi to risk his own security in coming here to give us this information. Thank you all for your attendance. Thank you.